All right. I think, let's start off. It's 12 now, and, quite a few things that need to get covered. And so let's start. I think I'd first like to thank everyone for joining us today. And I want to note here that this meeting is recorded live and will be played on our YouTube channel after we make a few edits on our. And this really is a continuation of our COVID-19 webinar series that we have had that we've been having over the last 2 or 3 months. And I'm glad that today's session is very relevant to the current times. And the topic really is how to protect yourself against modern day scams and frauds. And our guest speaker for today is Constable Ian Dan from the Peel Regional Police, and I believe he's under the Elder Abuse Coordinating Department. With him, we have our very own retired Staff Sergeant and President of Peace Services, Brother Jamal Khan. So the agenda will go like this. I would first pass the mic on to Brother Jamal Khan, who would very briefly introduce peace services and thereon, pass the mic on to Constable Ian. And thereafter, we'll have a 15-minute Q&A, if possible, if time permits. So I think, I think Brother Jamal Khan needs really no introduction. He was in service for about 35 years or so in the Toronto Police Service. During his policing, he has experienced several instances of elder abuse of seniors by their own family members, prompting him, along with other like-minded people, to form peace services. With his numerous engagements, peace really remains close to his heart. I think without further ado, I'd like to hand it over to Brother Jamal Khan, who would be in a better position to introduce Constable Ian for us, and some shed light on our today's topic. Over to you.
Okay, thank you so much. On behalf of Peace Services, let me welcome Ian Dan, Officer Dan from Peel Police Elder Abuse Coordinating Team. And we are so lucky to have him. And although he has been so busy, but still he agreed to come. I'm not sure, I can't see him, but he is there. And I'm having some technical problems here. So please forgive me for that. And so I will introduce you. Yes, I can see him now. Yeah. So welcome on board. So I guess without any further delay, just quickly, I will tell you about Peace Services, PEACE, which stands for, as 𝗔𝗶𝗱𝗲 indicated, Prevention of Elder Abuse and Community Education. So for further information, more details, please visit our website, which is www.peaceservices.net. And you will have complete details of some of the webinars that we have done in the recent past. We have been quite busy, and we are sincere about serving our seniors. And this is this is why we had invited the mayor of Brampton. For those who attended would know, and not too long ago actually. So, and then we invited the victim services to give you complete details of what peace services and how we and victim services can help our seniors. Whatever, God forbid, any problems you have, we will be able to take care of you, including Feed the Needy program. I had shed some light on that. Also, when we talked about Prime Asia television that we worked with to raise funds, and as a result, we donated 400 blankets and winter accessories during the last winter because of COVID problems. I mean, they were running out of all these amenities of life. And so we came in, thank God, and we raised money, and we were able to help them, and the management of the homeless shelters. They loved it. They had a lot of praise and prayer for us. Anyway, having said that, I would like to pass this mic on to Ian. Please talk about some of the things that you have done. And you have been on the job for 23 years. And by the grace of God, you have done very well, extremely well. This is why they are considering you for promotion, I understand. So that will be lovely to see you get the hooks, as they say in the police language. And so please take over and tell us, give us some tips as well as some of the real stories. I mean, I can also talk about real stories, but I'd like to hear from you. Okay, sir?
Yes, sir.
Thank
I'm
you.
just going to share my screen here, and I hope, let me know once it's up here. And you guys, is it good? Am I good to go?
Yes, you're good to go, Ian. We can see.
Okay. So first of all, thank you very much for having me today. I am Constable Ian Dan. I'm the Elder Abuse Coordinator with Peel Regional Police. And elder abuse is something I've become very passionate about, and something I'm becoming a bit of an advocate for, because I think raising awareness both externally and internally within our police department is vitally important to protecting our seniors. So my contact information is there. My phone number is at the bottom, 905-453-3311 or 2121, and I'm extension 3428. And my email is 2078@popolice.ca. If you have any questions about this presentation, concerns about someone in our community, or just want to talk about elder abuse, I won't always answer the phone because I am a one-man unit at this point, but I will get back to you as soon as I can. And the contact information will be later on in the presentation as well, in case you missed it. So topics for discussion for today. I'm going to focus on three main topics that I'm finding important right now in regards to seniors. Number one is obviously going to be elder abuse. Next, I'm going to talk about senior isolation, which I think is kind of underrepresented and is also very important. And then we'll be getting into safety, frauds and scams, and some pedestrian safety as well. First, elder abuse. Elder abuse is most often defined as a single or repeated acts or lack of appropriate action occurring within a relationship where there is an expectation of trust, which causes harm or distress to another person. Took me, when I first read this, I'm like, this is kind of the generally accepted definition of elder abuse. But what it basically means is when someone relies on a person for, it can be food, medication, personal care, whether it's a family member or a hired worker, if there's an expectation of trust and they commit a crime against them, that is going to be classified as elder abuse. So just to put that in context, so if an old person's walking down the street and gets mugged by strangers, that wouldn't be elder abuse. If an old person gets slapped by their child while that child cares for them, then that would be defined as elder abuse. And just so everyone's clear, not all forms of abuse, unfortunately, are criminal. So the five main types of elder abuse are physical. It means like when you assault. Sexual would mean your sexual crimes. Financial, so these are going to be the theft of power of attorney, changing wills, forging checks, stealing money, obviously. The neglect, not providing proper medical care, over medication, under medication, not having the purposes, basically not providing medical needs for the person, denying walking aids, anything like that. And then you get into the psychological abuse. And this is what I'm talking about with not all abuse is criminal. Obviously, it's wrong to yell and scream and isolate an older person, but to prove a criminal charge in that thing, it would be tough within the courts. There's no necessary charge that would apply for there, although it is a form of elder abuse. So elder abuse, I can tell you right now, both internationally and locally, elder abuse, unfortunately, is on the rise. And this is due to, we have an aging population. Just in the region of Peel alone, by 2025, over 25% of our population is going to be over the age of 65. So it's a quarter of our population will be over 65 in a few years. COVID-19. Obviously, COVID's had an impact on all our lives, and especially seniors. It's shut down many much needed services and supports. I think Jamal already touched on that, but the homeless shelters, and it's left seniors at risk. And then the third one is actually a good thing. So groups such as yourself, myself giving lectures to other community groups, awareness and education, right? The more we become aware of it, the more we educate our society, our community in elder abuse, what it is, what to look for, and that it must stop. We're obviously going to have an increase in stats. So the third one is actually kind of a positive one. So what's Peel doing to combat elder abuse? So in 2015, there was the first full-time position of elder abuse coordinator was created in the Peel Regional Police. Prior to 2015, elder abuse kind of just fell under the mental health umbrella. So we had a mental health coordinator doing both jobs. So just to put that in perspective, alone, our mental health unit now has 1 full-time coordinator, 4 Coast Crisis Support Officers, 12 mobile crisis rapid response officers, 9 community mobilization officers, as well as 48 divisional mobilization unit officers, whose one of their primary goals is to focus on mental health. So some of these officers are vital in supporting our community, and a few of these units, primarily our Coast unit and our divisional mobilization unit, that I'll talk about in a little bit, do a great work to assist our elderly in the community from a community policing and outreach standpoint. So this is the potential occurrences investigated for elder abuse or for potential elder abuse. There's a number of police reports are looked at. So in 2015, I said elder abuse coordinator created. So in 2016, they looked at 151 reports for potential elder abuse. Last year, I looked at over 3,000.
Wow.
So I don't want you to think necessarily it's a bad thing, right? Because I mean, an assault, depending on the age of the victim, a fraud, depending on the age of the victim, we're going to look at it for elder abuse because those meet those 5 criteria. But as we grow and we learn more about elder abuse as a police, we're proactively looking at several different types of occurrences that need to be investigated or basically given a second look for potential elder abuse. The main one we changed is any domestic dispute occurrence that involves a senior. Okay, not necessarily even involved in the dispute, could be a husband and wife arguing and their parents live with them, but we're going to look at that. Because I found that, with multi-generational families living together, it's the caregiver stress, or an adult child at home who possibly has mental health issues now due to age of the parents have become the primary caregiver. These types of occurrences aren't always, but can commonly lead to elder abuse. So we try to mitigate that risk before it gets there so we don't get into a neglect or an assault occurrence. I also look at any time there's a missing elderly person call, a wandering person call for, maybe they have dementia, maybe they just have some memory issues, but I'm looking at their call. Why are they going missing? Why do they not have a safety plan in place? All right. And obviously not every time a person goes wandering, they're going to be, they could be well looked after. They just maybe got out of the house or went for a walk and got lost, but it's still worth following up on, making sure there's a safety plan in place and make sure there's no indications of abuse before we close that report. So these occurrences aren't always looked at through a criminal lens. These reports are also examined to see if these parties require references or referrals to various community partners and agencies. We work with some great ones here in Peel. And in my opinion, by looking at these occurrences, this is almost stopping more potential elder abuse in the future than right now. But from a community safety and well-being aspect, this is doing a lot for our seniors.
Good.
So just this next chart is about the type of charges we saw in 2020 with relation to elder abuse. So about 50% if you combine the 2 assaults. So assault level 1 is just basically a punch or a slap. An assault with a weapon or cause bodily harm or choking, that made up about 20%. So over 54% were assaults. Bail violations, so that's when a child gets charged, say, with assault or theft, and they're not allowed to go have contact with the parents, and they breach these conditions. Other threats, self-explanatory, they threaten someone. The next one is liquor act, drunk. So you're looking, why are these charges in relation to elder abuse? So remember, I talked about how I'm looking at new different types of occurrences. If there's a senior in the house and that child's their caregiver and they're too drunk to look after themselves, so they have to be arrested, how are they caring for their senior parent or their whoever's in their house? That's why I included that. Mischief, if they damage property, and then 17, that's all the different financial charges. So what are we doing to respond to the increase in elder abuse here in Peel? So training education, number one. So obviously I'm providing, I go into the community as much as I can, provide webinars, or I prefer in person. I hope I'm sure everyone does, but this is what we have right now. I also lecture every new recruit that comes into Peel, any newly promoted sergeant, and I'm also lecturing on the mental health course. All about, one of the lectures I do is elder abuse. How to stop it, how to recognize it, and how to investigate it. In 2019, the Peel Crown Attorney's Office appointed an elder case crown. So now whenever there's suspected elder abuse, an elder involved as a victim or an accused, the case will go to that Crown Attorney and they will deal specifically with it because they're trained in it. I talked about our divisional mobilization unit. So in 2021, 48 officers and 4 supervisors were assigned to the new divisional mobilization unit, basically 12 each division. And these officers assist me probably more than any unit right now. They'll go do home visits. They'll check on at-risk seniors. They, not necessarily a criminal aspect of the investigation, but from a community safety and well-being to prevent the criminal, they go out and that's their role. Not just for seniors, but they do a lot for seniors within the region of Peel.
Excellent, excellent.
So that's it for elder abuse. If there's any questions about that, do you want to go over it now or do you want to wait to the end? I'm easy, whatever you guys like.
I think let's continue with this, Ian, and then towards the end we'll ask questions.
Okay, sounds good. So next one is senior isolation. Now this may not necessarily fall under the mandate of police, but I found it is it's almost a contributing factor to every form of either elder abuse or safety with seniors. So loneliness and depression, it's not a normal part. It's not a normal part of aging. Just because we get older, we still have need for friends and companionship, and it doesn't go diminish just because we're getting up in our years. Senior isolations, it's a stress that's been scientifically linked to have serious effects on both your mental and physical health. So according to the Center of Disease Control, senior isolation is dangerous to smoking, obesity, and physical inactivity. 50% increased risk in dementia, 29 in heart disease, 32 at stroke, 68 of hospitalization, and 57 of emergency room visits. Right? So I can tell you firsthand, seniors who are isolated are so much more at risk for frauds and scams, for being abused, okay, than a regular senior who's well connected and has a social life and a routine. So combating senior isolation, it basically requires a person to change their habits, routines, and overall attitude, right? This is difficult for anybody, and it's extremely difficult for people to do on their own. So what can we do to help? Find creative ways to connect, right? Social media. We're on a Zoom meeting right now. So apps like FaceTime and Zoom, they're important. Set them up. Get them set up for yourself or set them up for a senior who may not know how to do it so they can connect to family and friends and have that time, especially during COVID. Even when COVID's over, sometimes it's hard to get out in the winter. Get these things set up so you can connect with them face to face. Keep a schedule. This is important for seniors because you have to create structure by planning activities and avoid getting stuck in the house or stuck on the couch. Set an alarm in the morning, help get your day started, and try to set a schedule of what you can do during that day. So attend, right now maybe virtual, or now if they're opening up again, classes or workshops, right? Brampton.ca and Mississauga.ca have some amazing senior programs. I work with both of them, and there's so many different classes and so many different events you can attend and get part of something to get the isolation, to get rid of the isolation. Take up a new hobby. Again, this comes back to classes, right? Gardening, knitting, whatever, instrument, art, whatever you're into, just take up a new hobby. What's a better time to start than in COVID? And number one, don't be afraid to call for help. Or sorry, the last one. The last one is don't be afraid to call for help. Call for support. Remember, it's only a phone call away. Elder Help Peel, great resource. Their phone number's there. Our 24/7 crisis support line. That's who our COAST and MCERT officers work with. They're run through CMHA, and they have non-police social workers that you can connect with, and the senior safety line through Elder Abuse Prevention Ontario, a wonderful organization.
They speak many languages, I bet.
Yes, very good point. Yes, they speak many languages, or we'll get a translator if they don't have someone there that speaks that particular language.
Okay.
But it's not just English. That's very important. Thank you for bringing that up. So last thing I'm going to talk about is safety for seniors. Okay, I'm going to focus on two areas here that I see that are an issue: are frauds and scams and pedestrian safety.
Wow.
So our frauds and scams. Okay, fraudsters, they're extremely skilled at what they do and the craft of deceit, right? With the ability to operate anonymous now through the internet, through the phone, mail, social media, and make them even more dangerous. So these are some common types of scams that I'm seeing in PO, because I do read all the occurrences where the victims are seniors, so I do get to read them all. And these are the most popular ones that I'm seeing right now, and that seniors are frequently falling victim to. So the emergency scams, right? Fraudsters will contact you, threaten legal action or police type action against you if you don't make a payment to resolve the issue, right? How many times I got one yesterday from the Canadian Border Services. I had a package, I had to pay to get it out. Or
Yes.
the CRA, I have a warrant issued for. I apparently have lots of warrants issued for my arrest. I'm not sure if everyone else does, but there's lots of warrants that a recorded lady says on the CRA. If you get these calls, hang up immediately, okay? And block the number. Especially if it's on your cell phone, you can just go block number, and they will call you from a different number, but at least it stops that one number calling you. The police, the CRA, the RCMP, the Canadian Border Services, they're never going to call you and ask you for money. Right, but you get these calls, and it is like sometimes I'm like, maybe I do owe the CRA money. I'm thinking myself as a police officer. So if you're a senior and you're used to listening, you pay your taxes, you do your law-abiding citizen, and someone calls and say you need money, I can see why they fall victim to it. So just be very careful that they're not going to call you and ask you for money. Next type of scam.
That's been our number one. That's been our number one question here on the what you've received so far. Because one of our team members has been a victim of this online calls, by folks who are pretending calling from CRA, asking about SIN numbers, and threatening them to take some money out. And some of them are really vulnerable, on the verge of giving away their money and all. But the thought here is, I know you've said about stopping and blocking the numbers, but is the police or are we doing beyond that blocking of numbers, or is there a way to really trace the numbers and really some additional investigation from your side?
I mean, you might have a lot of luck through the IP addresses, but again, these, like I say, these guys are I wish these people were doctors or scientists. I'm pretty sure COVID would be solved by now if they were. They are so smart at what they do. They're not using their numbers. They're using a fake number registered on a fake IP address, and that's how they contact people. These people are very skilled at what they do. So these are and they just go fishing. They send out these emails, they send out the phone calls for however they get your numbers, and then they may call 500 people a day. They get one. That's a good day for them. And their numbers won't be registered. They're most of the time out of the country.
Yes.
They're not even in Canada. They're overseas, and you won't have much luck finding. They're not going to have their numbers registered to themselves. So it is very tough right now. So blocking a number and not providing any personal information. Again, this comes back to isolation, right? If you're off by yourself and you're vulnerable and I have no one to talk to, and this is the CRA calling you, you're going to say, okay, yeah, here's my number, here's my SIN number, here's my bank account number. Where if maybe you check with a family member or a friend because you're not so isolated, then it might stop it.
Yeah, a personal friend of mine was taken for a ride for $3,000. And he's a senior immigrant, but I guess he just got scared as soon as the police and CRA was mentioned. And so he ended up paying them. So unfortunately, then he calls me. I said, why didn't you call me before, buddy? Anyway, so damage is done. So poor guy, he was under a lot of stress. And not only he, his family, the entire family. Because $3,000 these days is a lot of money. And unfortunately, I don't know, he gave the money. I didn't know if he have anything to hide that was caused him to give the money, or just, I guess he got scared.
That's the thing. They prey on people's insecurity, and especially older people, right? Because most of them are still respect the police and authorities and do what they're, their whole life working hard and doing what they're told. And then if someone call them pretending that they exploit that for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the next big one is lottery scams. I'm sure a lot of you heard about this. This is where you get a phone call, a message saying, this is the number one I've seen, and this is the saddest, where most people give the most money. I've had one give over $500,000. I just got an occurrence on my desk today, $250,000. It's a phone call saying you've won a lottery, and you're going to receive a prize. Usually it's installments. We're going to send you the money here first. The U.S. Marshals may drop something off to you, but you have to pay a tax. You have to pay the administration fee. We have a car coming for you, but you have to pay the custom fees for it. And they'll keep going and going, and it's always a little bit with a promise it's coming, just one more thing, and then $3,000 becomes $6,000, becomes $12,000, and so on and so on and so forth. Or they will say, okay, well, if you don't want to give us your banking information, send us Google gift cards. So and then people go and buy $200-300 of gift cards at a store, send it to them, so they'll get that back for the customer administration fees.
Yeah.
So these ones are very common, and they might ask for your banking info so they can deposit the money into your account. These are ones you have to be aware of. Good rule of thumb here is if you didn't enter a lottery, you can't win a lottery. So if you didn't enter, you didn't win. And again, these guys are really good at it. Like I say, I've seen like millions, and over my time here in 2 years, millions and millions of dollars that I've seen. And there's probably a lot more that haven't been reported.
Yeah.
And again, they're anonymous. You're not going to get your money back. We can't go to court and ask for restitution because they're in different countries. They're not even in Canada, and it's all done online or over the phone and sent through wire transfers or gift cards. And again, it comes back to isolation, right? They're isolated. Oh, I won the lottery. And I've been in people's kitchens and I've talked to them and said, call her Jane Doe. Jane, you haven't won the lottery. I'm a police officer sitting here in uniform telling you these are frauds and scammers. And they're like, no, you'll see. You'll see I've won. And they fully believe it because they've been so lonely for so long that the reality sucks, right? And they want to believe this fantasy that they've won the lottery because they want their life to become back what it used to be.
Talk about loneliness. Sorry about that. Talk about loneliness.
No
Ian, if you remember, I'm sure from the night shift, some of our officers are on the phone because the phones are otherwise not so busy. So the local neighborhood, especially old ladies who are lonely, they got nothing else to do. So they talk to someone. They call the police station and talk to police officers, and police officers thinking that they could be their aunt or mommy or grandmother or what have you. They spend time because they are not busy. So this is how some of them are combating isolation and loneliness. Unbelievable.
Yep, and that's what we're trying to get our divisional mobilization unit out there. I mean, there was a lady who had dementia, would go wandering all the time, and it was worse at night probably because she had to have supports during the day and she was lonely. But they would go visit her once or twice a week and just make sure she was okay. And that's just one example of the work they do. And as well, just a lot of check-ins on seniors that could be at risk for any of these or who have been a victim of these. And that's how they came on our radar, unfortunately. But we're trying to find ones before they become victims as well.
Yeah.
Next fraud's the romance scams. So these are ones where, again, they go fishing. And I say romance, but it also can be friendship. Friendship scams. They go on these websites and they find seniors who are, widowers or looking for companionship, not necessarily romance, and they will quickly, profess their love for them or tell them that do something to gain the victim's trust. And then all of a sudden, then the ask will come. I'm going to come see you. I have but my kid's sick. I need money for his hospital bill, or I need money for the plane ticket. My funds are being investigated because I'm in a foreign country. They're always going to make themselves to be like someone with a high-paying job or an important job, and they even pretend to be someone who, like another person who is like, one lady who fell victim. She thought a general from the U.S. Army who was on the news when he was in Afghanistan was going to come over her and marry her. And she could see his picture on Google and everything like this. And that person pretended to be that general. And she thought, I was again sitting with her saying, this is a scam. This is not the general. He's not coming to see you. He's married with 4 kids, like 3 children. You see him on the internet.
Yeah.
Don't believe it. The loneliness, the isolation, right? Their reality isn't as good as their fantasy. The distraction thefts. So these are the skill pickpockets. There's a group of right now operating in the region of Peel that are driving around, and it's not just one area. I wish it was, but it's all over Brampton, all over Mississauga, and they're coming up and asking for directions for the hospital, saying, "You remind me of my mom. You remind me of my auntie. Can I give you a hug?"
Yes.
Oh, thank you for the directions. I want to give you a hug. And what they're doing is they're switching jewelry on you. They can do it without you even noticing. You don't notice till a couple hours later, you realize, oh my God, this isn't my necklace. And then you realize your expensive gold, real gold necklace is gone, and your fake necklace, fake ring, fake earrings were put in their place.
Yes.
Right? They're going to find attempt to touch you, any excuse to touch you. Thank you for the directions. I can give you a hug. You remind me of my aunt. Give me a hug. They'll even sometimes say, "Hey, I have this jewelry for you. Remind me of my mother. Here, let me try it on you." And then they'll switch with your real jewelry. Right? Especially during COVID-19, no one should be touching you. No one should be in your personal space. They're doing it to steal your valuables. Okay, so do not let strangers approach you, touch you for any reason.
Yeah.
And so just remember, if it sounds too good to be true, it's because it is, right? Nobody wants to give you money, right? No one's going to call you and think about this. When these people are calling you and trying to give you money, they're here to steal your money. They're there to target your hard-earned money, your family's money, and they're trying to remove you from it, right? Trust your instincts. It's okay to be suspicious of people, and don't be afraid to ask for help.
Yeah.
Last thing I'm going to touch on, because I'm seeing far too many pedestrian versus or vehicles versus seniors happening in the region of Peel right now, is pedestrian safety, right? Number thing we need to do is always cross the roads at crosswalks, right? As we get older, our reflexes might get slower, our eyesight might not be as good, and our agility may decrease. It might take longer to cross the road, especially if you're carrying items or using walking aids. So always cross to the crosswalk. Wait for a fresh walk signal, not don't try to rush across when the hand's flashing. Make eye contact.
We have, sorry to interrupt, we have had a situation where an elderly South Asian man was waiting to cross the road, and this guy, he saw a golden bangle in his wrist. So he said, "Okay, sir, I can help you cross." And the next thing you know, by the time he got there, he managed to take the thing like this and gone. And later on, this old man, Buzurg, we call him, and he realized that his kala was gone. And then, they do that. They victimize all these vulnerable people as opposed to be helping them. They know they don't help. They victimize them.
Yeah, it comes back to the frauds and scams with the distraction thefts. They're trying to find an excuse to touch you. They don't want to care if you cross the road. They just want your jewelry. So
yes.
So if we cross the road or crosswalks and wait for a fresh walk signal, we won't need people's help, fortunately, or a stranger's help anyway. Make eye contact with the driver before stepping in the front of the vehicles. I'm sure everybody's aware. There's a lot of bad drivers out there, and you can't control their actions, but you can control your actions, right? So the best way to ensure a driver sees you is you make eye contact with them. What's everyone doing right now? I know it's an illegal offense and the fines have gone up, but how many people do we see in cars texting while driving or at stoplights texting head down, right? People are on their phones all the time in cars, right? So you have to watch out for the distracted drivers who might not see you because they're staring at their phones. Watch for the head down, the bent neck. So be cautious of vehicles reversing from driveways or parking spaces, right? Look for reverse lights. It's great that we have all these electric cars coming out, but guess what? They're really quiet, right? So we have to be, when we're walking in parking lots and on sidewalks across driveways, look for the reverse lights and watch out for cars backing out because we may not hear them because of, the hybrid, the electric cars. They aren't very noisy. So something we're trying to teach now is practice defensive walking. This is when you wear bright reflective clothing, plan your route and let others know where you'll be walking. All right. Avoid using devices while you're walking, just like distracted drivers. How many times, maybe not so much with seniors, but with young people, you see them on their phones when they're walking and they're not paying attention.
All the time. Yeah.
All the time. Again, defensive walking, if you have mobility aids, use them when you're out walking, right? Wear proper footwear. And if you're walking near dark or after dark, bring a flashlight and use it, especially when you're crossing roads. And then take the extra moment to check again, right? Drivers make mistakes. Like I said, there's a lot of bad drivers out there. And just because the light says cross and it's a fresh walk signal doesn't mean the car will stop for you. Okay, so give that extra second and check again. That's about it for what I got to say right now, other than questions and answers. But again, there's my contact info if you need to copy it down.
And also, you had indicated that you have some couple of website information about seniors, Brampton.ca or something.
So just Brampton. It's a city website. It's Brampton.ca and Mississauga.ca, and then you can follow the link for the senior programs.
Okay, good.
And I'm also I just joined Twitter a little while ago. So if it's social media, if you want to follow me on there, you're more than welcome to.
Wow.
We'll certainly tag you there. Peace has a Twitter account, so I'll be glad to follow you. And
I'll follow you back. That'd be great.
Awesome. It was great having you here, Ayan, and I'm sure as much as I've learned today, newer insights, and I'm sure the audience here as well has learned about newer threats for seniors. And hopefully we'll have this on our online YouTube portal for, there will be a lot of repeat value, and we'll pass on the message to our audiences who are following our channel. And with that, I'd like to open this forum for any questions that the audience may have. So please, you can unmute yourself and ask a question for Ian. Anybody with any other questions? Okay, I have one. So, very often we see that we get calls from, say, some servicing companies, a guy who's, offering services, plumbing services, and he could be, various kind of services. And these numbers and these companies are really local, like Canadian and not from outside. And how do we deal with them? Like, how do we tackle these unnecessary phone calls offering services? And we've also known that these guys, they end up knocking your doors too.
So actually, that's a good point. I meant to I thought about that this morning. I want to bring up my presentation during the frauds and scams, the unnecessary services. I'm finding a lot of occurrences, especially with air duct and like furnace work, that they're coming in and quadrupling charging seniors for something like, say, a furnace, and they're charging them $20,000 to $30,000 to install a furnace that may or may not even be needed. And because they scare the senior into believing that they need it, because their one's old or might be dangerous, that they install these services, and a lot of them can't pay because of their financial situation. We've had these investigated criminally, and unfortunately right now we're getting told that it's a civil dispute because the senior agreed to the service, and we have to prove that the company took advantage of even though we know they took advantage of the person because of their vulnerability or age. And again, it comes back to the isolation and having no one to talk to. So again, make sure you check with family, check with friends, the current market value. You can always call myself, or I'm not sure what kind of resources your group has, but to check to make sure that, number one, they need the service, number two, they're charging a reasonable rate for the service, and they're not being scared into buying all the extra things, because that's happening a lot. Especially I've seen it in Brampton quite a bit actually in the last this last winter.
Duct cleaning is another pain in the neck service they want to call and bother you like crazy. So some people who live in homes, they say that we live in the basement, we don't need that service. So as a result, to get rid of those people, the telemarketers. Yeah.
Again, it's just blocking the number. I mean, it happens. I get 3-4 calls a week for duct cleaning, and I have no idea where they got my number from. It always seems to be like a 416-938 number, and I always block those, and now they've moved on to different numbers. Once I block 3 or 4 in a week, it usually quiets down a bit, but then it starts up again. I wish I knew how to make it go away, but again, these people are just looking for a way in, and maybe it's a legitimate business, maybe it's not, I don't know, but they're definitely annoying phone calls for sure.
Yeah, I just saw the text. The Fatima just got a call from this guy. apparently, as we are talking right now. So,
oh yeah.
Yeah, gee, can you imagine?
Phone call for duct cleaning, or?
I guess, yeah, I think maybe it's a duct cleaning, the
No, I think she got a call from CRA.
CRA, wow.
Yeah,
Should have
the
put
call
her
was
online. We could have talked to them during the presentation and said, "How a good example of what is going to a good learning teaching tool." If anyone gets a call like that, let's listen to it live.
Yeah. Anyway, so
any other questions from the audience here?
It does not have to be elder abuse related. It could be anything, because Officer Dan has 23 years police experience. So even if it is some kind of a criminal nature, he should be able to answer that.
Officer Ian, what would you recommend, for charities like us? How can we help the community, and playing our role to minimize these scams and frauds and help seniors? Maybe it will be an eye opener for the teams here.
Well, I mean, again, just having things like this where we're having presentations about them. We have a great crime prevention unit that can come talk more in depth about them, like a particular one, if we ever get back in-person meetings, or they do it online as well. Again, raising awareness. Remember, I talked about that earlier in my presentation, education and awareness. That's going to be our number one combat fighter to elder abuse and all kinds of frauds and scams and seniors victimization. Just getting the message out there that it's not okay. Like there's no elder people, senior, just because they're old doesn't mean they should be targeted at all. And, I have a special place for people that target seniors, and I'll work very hard to put those people, punish get them what they deserve. I'm trying to think of the politically correct answer right there, but you know what I mean.
Yeah,
Put them away.
Yeah.
I can say that now, right?
I was like, wait, I'm recorded. I better be careful.
Yeah. Right. So anything else, guys? Please ask questions. Talk about awareness. This is exactly what Peace Services does. Since we are not a reactive unit, we are a proactive unit. Through education, we make people aware, educate them about their rights and responsibilities also. So that's what I think you're doing too, to talk about their rights and responsibilities and give them some preventive tips to avoid getting victimized and things like that.
And it becomes really challenging during these COVID times, Officer Ian. You can't really knock seniors' doors to just check on them, if they are safe, if they have any issues and all. The only mode for us for now is, say, online Zoom talks and all of internet related things. And I'm not sure if they are up to speed, although we're trying to make our best efforts. But reaching out to the communities is an issue at this point of time. I don't know how best and what we can do to knock seniors and
In the past, we held computer classes for seniors, and many learned to communicate via email and WhatsApp and all that. I remember a case several months ago. This old gentleman, he came to the class and we taught him how to send emails and all that. And he ended up sending an email to his son, who was recently transferred from here to Texas. And the son called back to Dad, said, "Dad, is this your email?" And he was pleasantly surprised. He was shocked. He spoke to the mom. And then he said, yes, the Peace Services they're teaching me, and they are still teaching me, that type of thing. So it's a success, win-win type of a case. So just wanted to throw that out to you. Yeah, we need to continue doing that. We need to continue to educate our seniors how to use computers.
Thank you, Gurujana. I think we do not have any further questions. I would take silence as no questions. All right. I think we are good then. So I'd really like to thank Officer Ian for coming on our discussion today. Really appreciate from the bottom of our heart,
Yes.
the entire peace team here. We fully appreciate the time that you've given to Peace Services. Anything else that you want to add, Brother Jamal?
No, thank you so much, Ian. That was great. And I have dealt with PEAL officers before, but first time with you. And it was really my pleasure to hear you talk about so intensely and in details about crime prevention aspect of elder abuse also. Thank you so much. And God bless you. And you keep up the good work, buddy. Excellent.
Thanks so much for having me, and I look forward to working with great community partners such as your organization, and also learning more about it, and hopefully we can do something in the not so near future together.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.